Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. Are you watching, paying attention to the NCAA finals, men's basketball finals this year? Oh my goodness. Las Vegas has got to be going crazy. All of the pools have been busted up. The unexpected are in the Final Four. It's quite the interesting situation. In fact, if you watched Virginia and Auburn this last week, you didn't know who was going to win until the last second, literally 0.6 of a second. Imagine being able to shoot 3 free throws, knowing that if you make all 3, you win, and you go to the national championship game. Well, that's exactly what Virginia did. So congratulations to Virginia. They hung in there to the very end. Yes, there were some controversial calls and no calls, but nonetheless, they hung in there and fought to the very end. But all of this talk about winning brings me back to a thought that Coach John Wooden, the legendary coach from UCLA who passed away in the year 2010, oh my goodness, at the age of 99, a dear friend. But if you talk to his players, they will say he never mentioned the word winning. Never talked about winning. His feeling was that you can lose sometimes when you win. And you can win sometimes when you lose. He says, you've done your best when your opponent cannot tell by looking at you after the game whether you won or lost. See, his definition of winning, his definition of success, was peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you are capable. So let's talk about winning for just a second. The interesting thing about Virginia, there's an undercurrent story here because the coach of Virginia, his name is Tony Bennett, not the singer, the coach, okay? And his father's name is Dick Bennett. Now, Dick coached Wisconsin to the Final Four years ago. And now his son has coached Virginia to the championship game. Now, that's only the second time in history that a father-son duo has coached separate teams into the Final Four. So it's a big deal. And when you're watching your kids, or you may not know, but if you don't know, you will know, when you're watching your kids do something, it brings you more joy than when you did it yourself. Tell me that's not true. So when they won this last game, the press, actually it was the game against Purdue that qualified him for the Final Four. The press ran up to Dick and they asked if he was experiencing one of the greatest feelings of his life. He said this, from a feeling state, euphoria, yes it is. But it doesn't compare with faith, with kids, with grandkids, with family. He said, because I know what truly matters, it enables me to enjoy what seems to matter, like this. He said, I've remembered that quote and tried my best to live by it. This last week, Lori and I have had the opportunity to spend quality time, with 4 of our kids and their kids, including our latest little grandchild, just now 2.5 weeks old, little grand girl. What a thrill. I just can't, what a thrill. And it brings me back to what Dick Bennett said, that because I know what truly matters, it enables me to enjoy the other things that matter. So I ask myself, and I ask you, I look around and I find myself sometimes slipping away from that, get caught up in my business, get caught up in the urgency of things, the emergencies of things, and the things that really matter most. If I miss those, they won't allow me to enjoy the wins that I have. And there's so much talk about wins, but my real win, and sometime I'll tell you the whole story behind this, my real wins come from my family, but they also come from that peace of mind that comes from the self-satisfaction of knowing I am doing the very best that I'm capable of doing. I wish I could say I had that feeling all the time. I don't. I'm not what I should be. I'm not what I ought to be. I'm not what I'm going to be. But I'm thankful and grateful that I'm progressing and I'm better than what I used to be. Enjoy this week. Enjoy the games. Enjoy winning. But keep in mind those things that matter most to you. As you put them first, it will allow you to enjoy the other things even more. Have a great week. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.